मैया झुलावे ललना ओ राजू के मैया झुलावे ललना ओ राजू के मैया झुलावे ललना झुलावे ललना झुलावे ललना झुलावे ललना झुलावे ललना ओ राजू के मैया झुलावे ललना ओ राजू के मैया झुलावे ललना।
Good evening, TNT family. Wishing all our fathers happy Father's Day in TNT, or our Trinity fathers wherever they are located in the world today. Welcome everyone to Yellow is the Code. I have Mr. Suman Singh here with me tonight, and we expect a few others to join us if they could take time off of their schedule. Some are engaging in flood cleanup, some are with family. So it was kind of difficult, but we have one or two people who might join us later on in the program. Mr. Singh, welcome back to Yellow is the Code.
Hey, welcome, Gary, and welcome to all those who are on the various social media platforms joining us. We are welcome to have you, and let me endorse your sentiments to Father's Day to all our fathers. We hope you enjoyed the day thus far, and take it easy for the rest of the night. Yes, we have a few things to discuss, mainly emanating from the discussion from the second sitting of Parliament. And I saw in the newspaper today that the general manager of the Airports Authority is still refusing to resign.
Yeah, it's PNM country according to them, but we will show them.
You know, and I think the Prime Minister made it clear. Apparently, he did not get the email or he didn't see the message, but she's promising to deal with them accordingly based on the law. You know, so that's one of the things in question right now. I guess we should see some clarity into the state of the economy coming up this week. I guess starting tomorrow, the midterm review on the 16th or the 18th, as the case may be. Yes. So those
are... I saw our Minister of Works and Rural Development, they're out there today, walking the County Bank and, meeting with the people, seeing what their issues are and things like that.
Yes, and it was difficult for them. Like I remember when they came in the flooding started just like the 2010. I don't know if you recall that. The Prime Minister, within the first 1 or 2 days of getting into government, she had to put on her boots and tackle the flooding. Well, this time is not too dissimilar from last time around. But it was a difficult job given the state of the drainage system in the island, that very little, if anything at all, was done over these years by the previous Minister of Works. And he promised when he came in 2020, he said in the next 5 years, flooding will be something of the past. Well, I don't know what he meant by that. There's only one thing I realized, that it meant nothing.
More big talk and more money spent and less to show for it now, Mr. Singh.
Much less, much less. There were like literally nothing.
And they
But it,
still went in the parliament very bold face, having the audacity to try and chastise our Minister of Public Utilities about water delivery and community and this and that and the other. And then you see in the former Minister of Finance trying to pull some
yeah,
parliamentary code there. But Mr. Singh, our speaker, gave him some education on how the interpretation of the law is, because the PNM was playing with the interpretation of the law and using it according to their convenience.
yeah. But in this case, Gary, I don't think it was a playing, It was a total or right stupidity, because what the, the Minister Palarat explained to him that this case is not sub judice. That is what the Minister of Finance, the former Minister of Finance, was trying to say.
Right,
And then
but
the case,
the speaker, they couldn't tie him up. He gave them an education.
and the current Minister of Finance told him in no uncertain terms, when it was clarified that that issue is not sub judice. That issue was thrown out. That means the judgment was realized and the case was closed. So why is he saying that it is sub judice? You cannot comment on that because it's on a legal hearing. So again, it's a set of lies being portrayed on the population, And this has been one of the hallmarks of the past regime for the past 10 years. It's lies compounded on lies and compounded on more lies. And they probably thought that, eventually the lies will stick. So that strategy definitely failed, and that is why the result is what it is for this past election. People have realized, and some of them were realizing, except a few from the UNC who decided to change, options. They went over the other side. Apparently, they were the only ones who did not see or understood the lies of the PNM.
Okay, hold on a second there, Mr. Singh. We have our champion, counselor and chairman of the corporation for the Cuba Talparo Corporation, Mr. Ryan Rampersad. Has been a long time. I've been trying to get Ryan on this program. It's finally got him here for a few minutes. So, Ryan, I want to welcome you to Yellow is the Code on UNC USA. And I was hoping, first I want to wish you happy Father's Day. And then I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you have a very hectic schedule, and Ryan is one of those guys who are always on the go serving our people. You see him all the time in action, and he has all my support and best wishes, as for a guy who is really committed to our people, who I'm very proud of. So, Ryan, how are you doing so far with all that flooding taking place in the country right now?
Okay, let me start by saying happy Father's Day to you and all your viewers, all your listeners. Right. Today is a very special day, so we must acknowledge the significance and importance of our fathers. At this stage, today being Sunday the 15th, all floodwaters would have subsided within the constituency of La Talparo and also the region of Cuba Tabaki Talparo. It was not widespread and as devastating as we thought it would be. And the reason for that is because of the foresight of our Prime Minister. As soon as she took office, she instructed three ministers: Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, Khadija Amin; Minister of Works and Infrastructure, the Honorable Julian John; and Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Ravi Ratiram. Those three ministries came together and started a desilting and degrassing program. It was a flood mitigation program, actually. And the Honorable Khadija Amin, she called all the regional corporations together and she instructed us all to work together because, as you would appreciate, some corporations are not very badly affected as others. Cuba Tabaki is one of those corporations, one of those municipalities that is low-lying. So sometimes with the slightest of rainfall, we get flooding. And Minister Amin pooled together equipment from various corporations, because that's one of our problems. We are very much constrained for resources in terms of equipment and even manpower. So we got a boost of extra equipment, and we started working in the most susceptible areas, susceptible to flooding, that is. And because we had a head start of about 3 weeks or so, these early rains in May and June have not affected us very badly as it would normally do. So us together with Drainage Division, we are working together, but we did get some flooding, and we had some inconvenience and so on, some trees falling across roadways. So we activated our disaster management units and had them on the field over the weekend and so on.
We had a long history of difficulties with you guys getting equipment, and and being suffered for the resources. And I was so happy to see the amount of work being done. Finally, I mean, it was a real miracle that that I mean, we thank God for the victory in this election, number one. And you could clearly see, the Lord, our God, is on our side here. Just in due time, and bringing our people together, and the beautiful collaboration. I mean, the people couldn't wait to come together, and the leadership we've seen with Khadija, and Jolene John, and then Ravi Ratiram there, and yourself, of course, and seeing the councillors and everybody working together. So this is something that we really appreciate happening on the ground there. I've seen some of the pictures on Facebook and stuff, but unfortunately I couldn't download it from Facebook into this program. I could pull it from TikTok and stuff like that, but not from Facebook, But so it's really good to see what took place, and they appreciate you taking the time, to join us here. Ryan, I want to be able to do some more stuff with you whenever you could spare some time. I would also like to be able to, even if on location while things are happening, I just want to remind you, I can send you a link and we can go live within minutes, to kind of get, and that's for 5 minutes. We won't, because I know it's going to be hectic for you out there. So we won't keep you too long, just to get a brief update of what's taking place, with that. So how was your Father's Day today?
Oh, it was very quiet. It was quiet. We actually had a meeting with a member of parliament for La Hockeda Talparo, the Honorable Philip Watts. So we pulled together all our area managers and the constituency executive, and we started working on a disaster plan specifically for the constituency of La Hockeda Talparo. So we took our 3 hours off our Father's Day. But when it comes to doing the work of the people, that is priority. So we spent some time doing some work in the MP's office, and then I joined the family afterwards. So it was good. We're back out to work tomorrow. Not that we stop at all, but we just took a little pause today. Gary, I want to commit all members of my corporation also. We have 19 members of council at the CTTRC. So we have excellent work going on across the region. 15 councillors and 4 aldermen. So they will all be happy to join you, based on what is happening in their various areas. So I'll have a chat with them on that tomorrow, and we are grateful for your publicizing and keeping in touch with us, here in Trinidad. We are very much grateful for that.
Well, I mean, after we get, I mean, we all know that, I mean, there was 10 years behind basically with the amount of work, and we've seen the amount of stuff that you guys had to pull out that, I mean, was totally unacceptable for you to have to deal with what we saw there. It was clear picture of gross negligence for the country, and we saw more money spent and no accountability, which we will get to eventually. But one of the things I want to encourage everyone, and I keep saying, and you might see me saying that, is that we are dealing with global warming conditions, weather conditions. And so normal rainfall, as you have seen, that is something of the past. We may get that sometime. So wherever we have an opportunity to create a retention pond, expand the drainage where there's some clearance, we should probably revisit that after we do what the main course of work, whenever we can get chance, because I know you guys have a lot to get done there. And then we want to consider something I've been speaking about here on this program is we look for ways up the river where we can restrain the flow of the water, create WASA holding facilities, like, a holding area, like you have seen in foreign countries where you build dams and floodgates, and we don't lose all that water, because 6 months out of the year, I mean, we have so many people suffering for water. So we want to look into down the line when it's feasible to kind of look into how we can construct holding facilities and turn it into water treatment. Maybe we could build some of the water treatment plants along that Caroni River or the Guavacara River area there where we can pull some of that resources out there. So that's what some of the suggestions I made over the years and kind of reiterated it. So these are the things I want to see. First of all, controlling the flow of water so it doesn't come as hard. I mean, because we see when that water flow, nobody can stop it. And if we can
Gary,
slow down.
what I can tell you is that a conversation has started already with the Minister of Public Utilities, the Honorable Barry Padarat, as well as Minister of Local Government. A conversation on retention ponds and leaks and dams and so on. There's a natural formation in the community of Todd's Road, going to Ravinsab. That was formed in 2010. It's a natural sinkhole or a gorge in the earth that resulted from unregulated quarrying in the community. And again, the land sunk. A huge section of central Trinidad it's sunk, and that is a natural holding bay for flood waters. And that happened naturally in 2010. And I don't know if you know, back in the days of former councillor Sahade Bundu, if that name rings a bell. Sahade Bundu was championing the cause of the construction of the Mamoral Dam. That is to mitigate flooding in the central area through the overspilling of the Kapar River. So Minister Khadija Amin and Minister Barry Padarat, together with myself, we have started this conversation, which is along the same lines that you are speaking about, because we live on a small island, and we are affected by a high tide and a low tide every 6 hours. And if the tide is high and all your water courses, even when they are all cleaned, you run the risk of still getting flooding because it's a small island. We don't have very many major and huge waterways. And when these waters flow out into the Gulf of Paria and they encounter that resistance of a high tide, then it spills over, inland. And definitely, I agree with you. I travel to Florida quite a lot and I see a lot of retention ponds and dams and lakes. And a lot of them are connected into the Everglades. And, they
Right, and
release,
then they
slowly.
would turn it into a tourist attraction area too. Would they build some park bench and expand it?
Correct.
So these are the kind of things. So we want to kind of share these ideas, and well, we will discuss more of this off air personally. But I just saying, kind of throwing that out here, as I have you here, and we want to push that idea of looking into how we can do these things to retain that water, expand where we have extra land to do it. I know it's not going to be feasible right now, but we have to make plans towards it because we're still trying to sort out the economic issues here with the revenue and create revenue stream. So I know, but I want to see you guys get the equipment in the corporation. The larger backhoes, excavators and type of things like that. So when something happens, it's right there, and
Yeah.
and then you could continue the work instead of borrowing from another area. Well, I saw the collaboration, and I know the Ministry of Works. We definitely are blessed to have Jolene John there. And I mean, two dynamic people within Jolene and Khadija. I mean, they know the job, they know what the issues are, and they, to the back of their head, they're ready to run with that. They just have to give them the resources,
Yeah.
and a person like yourself, which I know I've seen your work and I've seen your commitment. So I mean, I really appreciate all that you guys are doing, and we stand by here to expose and promote what you're doing internationally as much as possible, because in the last era of our governance, the PNM tried to deny these things took place, and all the hard work and all the things that you guys did, it was not properly documented. So we want to spin it around the web this time as much as possible, encourage extra people to kind of publish what's taking place there, the work that you guys do. It must not go on record, and people must get involved in what you're doing, and support that as much as possible.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay,
Ryan. Well,
Gary, thank you very much.
thank you for taking that time out of the family time and your hectic schedule, and I hope to have you back here soon. And ask all the counselors, I want to really get them here if it's for 5 minutes.
Will do.
All
I'll
right.
organize.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Ryan.
Okay, keep good. Thank you very much.
Happy Father's Day, brother. Good to finally have you
Same to
here.
you. Same to you and your team. Bye.
Okay.
I guess we heard
So,
it from
Mr.
the horses.
Singh,
heard it from the horse's mouth there directly, and that's reassuring to know that
One
it,
of the most hardworking guys, man. We just need people like that, and we need to make sure they have the resources. I want to see they have the resources, and I'm so happy that we have Mrs. Bisesa finally as Prime Minister. And the guys have hit the ground running. And I'm really proud to see what they're doing, and I want to make sure they get the recognition, the coverage, and there's well known, so the
yeah.
country understand both our people inside and outside the country. But go ahead, Mr. Singh.
No, I said there's things like flooding and so natural. These type of man-made disasters really is nothing natural. Is most of it is self-inflicted, And if you can plan for these type of occasions, because in the dry season, if you do the required work and you set up your retention ponds and your larger, slowing down the water flow up in the higher regions, up in the mountain, creating the dams and so on, and as well as desilting the rivers, ensuring that there is no overgrown trees and mangrove and other lilies and so on in the drainage system. The water flow can be really, more controlled. So there will not be any sort of big disasters. The only problem is that with the tides, between every high tide and low tide, every 6 hour period is a turnaround time. So we should really never have flood for more than 1 or at max 2 days, never more than that. Once these systems are implemented and we have a thorough drainage plan established, and with the water pumps, the sluice gates, and so on, it will greatly alleviate this situation. The only problem, as I said, is that the high and low tides, and these can be countered by having the pumps at the sluice gates. Even
I
though the
mean,
water
we
is
pumps,
high.
we pump the industrial pumps. They have a lot of mobile industrial pumps. I've seen very large ones,
Oh, yeah.
and listen, we have committed people. It's just that they've been starved and suffered so much for the resources, under this previous government, and high class wickedness. A very small country with so much money, and they have to give account for the last of the money that they spend. All this song and dance they want to do in the parliament.
But we started here some of these from tomorrow. At least something should start to at least open up, and let's see how it goes. I don't care who it is. Let the chips fall where they may, my friend. Let those who are responsible serve the time, whatever that time is, because there's a lot of flouting of laws that taken place and a lot of non-deliverance, non-deliverance of resources, and more so assets required to mitigate flooding. Every major river in Trinidad should have dredges strategically located at certain pain points along the water courses. Where is that? Where is that piece of equipment which is so vital? How do you strengthen up the banks? Those dredges serve multiple purposes. I have seen how that operates, my Gary, and there's a number of things at the same time. Besides dredging and the silting of the water, it also strengthens the bank infrastructure. The banks of the rivers are elevated, while at the same time you're dredging it. So it's like you can double the capacity right in a very, very short space of time, by having higher banks and deeper rivers. So
Like Ryan is a very traveled guy too. He's intelligent, and I mean the guys know, what's to be done. It's just that like they've been suffocated so much, starved for funds, and all the bureaucracy surrounding it. That's to restrain them. PNM has designed a structure to restrain them. So we really have to cut out all these tentacles within the system there and deal with it. So here we have Mr. Tanku's statement here. what he's planning to do. So, something along our sentiments.
Yes, yes, exactly. Tanku said the PNM sabotaged the Board of Inland Revenue's ability to go after tax evaders. So I guess when they were doing that, that would have been PNM's justification by sabotaging the board and trying to push the agenda of the TTRA. Then, that was one of the main reasons.
Where the minister himself has sole control, and now they're trying to fight our minister of health on having too much power in the decision of saving a child lives when they were discussing the children life fund, right? And I mean, they all kind of song and dance these people do. They try to spin all kind of nonsense.
Well, you see, they always say they care for the children, but they never really cared about children.
Yeah, they deeply cared. They really cared. Yeah, the amount of suffering we saw.
Suffering in all forms through healthcare, through education system, through inability to control all this violence and school misbehavior. To then when they kind of solve the problem for the 10 years, they're asking now, what are you going to do? They put the question to the prime minister. Then what is your plan? For 10 years, they did nothing. They couldn't solve the problem. They know what the problem was. Till I heard last week, former Minister Dolly saying, oh, these are the children of PNM parents. What? What is that? What does that mean? So because it's the children of PNM parents, you will not solve the problem and you will allow it to continue or get exacerbated? What is the meaning of that statement? Or you did not have the will to do it, or you did not want try to offend your supporters. What is the reasoning why you did not try to solve the problem? What mitigation approaches did you do? So if one is yours, a particular method has failed, then you try your next solution you have. So they just did not do nothing, and they could not rein in the violence that erupted in the schools. So now they're asking a prime minister who has just, formed government, what are your plans? Now she told them what her plans were, right? She told them what her plans were. But then again, she said, no, the opposition comments is that this will fail.
Yeah,
But
but
how do
Input is
you
trying to kind of say that she don't have the funding and for the promises that she made. But we have to look at the money that they took from the government, and without accountability, they have to give us that accountability.
right? That will be more than sufficient to
All the spending that they did, they did show
implement,
unfit.
to implement these mitigation proposals which the UNC has. So that will more than take care of these things. In fact, you may have a surplus of funds available. The fact of the matter is that they did nothing, and so they could not tell the people at election time what they did. They just identify the problem. They identify who the problem makers were, but what was the course of action to remedy? What was the solution? And
As far as I'm concerned, PNM conduct of how they run the country is not by mistake, but it was by design. They ran
correct.
this thing into to where it is because by design. It's not that they have any incompetence. They deliberately did what they did.
And that's why I always ask the question, were they mandated from the top, from the very core of the administration, those at the very highest level, not to do anything? Because we can't be so dumb as a country, Really, we can't be. And one wonders, the real fact was, what were they practicing geographic discrimination, because we hear that term over and over again, but what do we understand by that?
If they was practicing, they live by that. They live by that. And all the spite they did to some of us, we prospered more than they expected us to do. All right?
Yes.
We are better off than everybody that they give freeness to.
Yes, that has been a fact since Eric Williams days. But the point, what I'm trying to say is that where was the so-called intelligentsia in the country? Where was the Chamber of Commerce? Where was the Manufacturers Association? Where were the chairman of the various boards? Where were the university lecturers? Where were the media behind all of this? You know, so the church groups, the religious organization, what have you?
Oh,
so you
the church group was telling some people about in this last election, are you voting for that Hindu party? That's the nonsense they were talking about. In spite of all the wrong things that happen in the country and the chaos and everybody, and not one person safe in the country. Shameless, totally shameless for people who call themselves Christians and godly people.
Oh yeah, that's a convenient terminology, my friend. They use that for a convenience perspective. It's not part of their daily practice, but only for convenience, expediency. They use that tagline, you know, the church, this and that, and this is why it should be. And they quote on the various books, Ecclesiastics and what have you. But do they follow it? What were you doing all the time? What were you doing all the time?
Yeah, you brainwash people to vote for incompetence and to cause them to suffer more. Here we had a prime minister who had a track record, a proven track record for putting the things to help uplift people. That's a Christian thing. That's a very godly thing. All right? Okay? You went so wickedly against a caring prime minister who was meeting the needs of the people and trying to uplift the people. That is our Christian command. That is the orders that we have, to uplift the weak, not to suppress them. We saw the totally opposite from this Christian government.
Yes, no wonder they're against the Children's Life Fund to the extent that it will not contribute to it. You know, so it goes to show that they just talked. Just talk to talk, never walk the talk, just talk the talk. Or, you know, we have the solution for everything. Now that they're in opposition, you will hear them talking more and more. All the solutions they will have right away. And you see the Minister of Public Utilities going down. They have the solutions for everything, my man. You know, yet they couldn't account for why, you know, certain people didn't get vote for weeks and months in some cases. Again, the same geographic discrimination, my friend. Same geographic. And they counter that by saying, the lines are rusted. If you put the pressure in it, it will break, and so on. Well, if you know the lines are rusted and if you know that it has been thinned out, well, start a repair scheme to start bit by bit, and you know, along the 10 years you would have done.
They have nothing. They have spent more money and have nothing to show us.
No,
nothing.
Only because it's south of the lighthouse.
Navarro has been confirmed as the new Commissioner of Police for Trinidad and Tobago with unanimous support from both the government.
Go ahead, Mr. Singh. I'm trying to add some files here. Go ahead.
Okay, no, in addition, thanks for bringing that up. I see there's a new Commissioner of Police, Mr. Alistair Guerrero.
Yeah, here it is.
With various stakeholders to tackle these challenges and emphasize the need for integrity and transparency in policing. He also thanked Parliament for their support and acknowledged the rigorous selection process he went through. Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar assured that her government would follow the law in supporting Guevaro's appointment and criticized past administrations for mishandling the nomination process. She highlighted Guevaro's qualifications and expressed confidence in his ability to restore public trust in the police service. The Attorney General commented on the constitutional principles governing the appointment and criticized the former government for not adhering to these principles. Despite the criticisms, former National Security Minister Marvin Gonzalez supported Guevara, reaffirming his professional record. Opposition MP Keith Scotland defended the previous government's actions regarding the appointment process, emphasizing their compliance with a court ruling.
Want to stay updated with trending news topics? Then like and follow us to stay in the know. And don't forget to leave a comment letting us know what you think.
Go ahead, Mr. Singh. I'm trying to pull up one more thing. Go ahead.
I think both sides were in agreement of the selection of the Commissioner of Police. So at least that they can move forward.
Has been confirmed as the new Commissioner of Police for Trinidad and Tobago with unanimous support from both the government and opposition. He is committed to making every place in the country.
Yeah, so that's a good sign that both the opposition and the ruling party share and have that, committed approach to having such a police commissioner, as all hell could have broken loose. And the same thing that happened to the Canadians that came down. Watsky is one of the names. They gave him so much pressure from inside the police force. So let's see how it turns out this time.
Kamla Persad called for an apology from former Finance Minister Coleman Burt due to his negative actions against the Auditor General, which harmed the reputation of the Finance Ministry. During her statement in the House of Representatives, she warned that her comments would likely upset many citizens. She criticized Mbert's long tenure as Finance Minister, stating it resulted in significant damage to Trinidad and Tobago's public finance management. The Prime Minister mentioned that the inability to finalize national accounts for 2 consecutive years was an embarrassing failure for a nation that values transparency and rule of law. She expressed hope that Mbert had learned humility following the recent elections. The Prime Minister highlighted the lack of necessary documents from the previous government, which hindered the Auditor General's ability to audit financial records. She specifically mentioned the central bank's refusal to let the Auditor General examine the electronic check clearing system, a barrier that prevented proper verification of public accounts. Consequently, the Auditor General issued a disclaimer about the government's financial accounts, indicating she could not confirm their accuracy. Moreover, the Auditor General struggled to verify $1.5 billion in expenditures due to various shortcomings in records and access issues within ministries. The report revealed that a significant amount of rent for government properties could not be substantiated as many leases had expired, leading to discrepancies in reported costs. The Prime Minister also referred to issues with short-term employment practices, noting a lack of accountability in hiring across government agencies. The previous administration allegedly overspent on security services without proper contract verification. In response, Mbert asked the Prime Minister whether she acknowledged that some rental issues began under the previous UNC government, citing specific examples. He made this statement following her address in the House of Representatives.
Want to stay updated with trending news topics? Then like and follow us to stay in.
Okay, Mr. Singh, you can go ahead.
These were some startling revelations, but I don't agree with what the PM is saying there, that Mbert should apologize. He should be jailed, not apologize. What is apologizing going to do? We need the money to find out where the money is sitting, where the money is resting, where it has gone. Don't tell me you apologize and all apologizing and go on do business as usual. Account for that money, find the money, bring it back to the people of Trinidad and Tobago. It's their money, it's not yours.
Yeah, let's continue. I'm going to catch up with you in 2 seconds. I'm taking some stuff.
So, by him just apologizing, but doesn't carry much weight at all. I am sure, like everyone else, wants to see where the money is lying, where is it sitting, in whose hands are they? Is it in some accounts which nobody checked, or is it in somebody's personal bank accounts, those who may no longer be there, but it must be sitting somewhere? And why can't it be accounted for? It's a simple process in accounting, you know. It's an income and expenditure. It's that you get, when you get the income, you either spend it or you save it, or you hold it for a rainy day. So, you know, if you can't, you collect it, and you can't say where it's hidden, so to speak, then where is it? One can only assume that it has been mismanaged or stolen. So if that's the case, a lot of people needs to answer some serious questions on for theft and fraud as you go along. So that was the situation, and we look forward to seeing what's going to come out of it. But just apologizing, and he apologized to the nation for what? His own stupidity. He tried to say the matter over the past 2 days, what he was talking about, a matter which is sub judice, when in fact that case has already finished. Again, he's lying. So he is no stranger, you know. He's no stranger to lies. He's been lying to us from day one, since he became Minister of Finance, since he wanted to scrap the TTRA, not to scrap the TTRA, but the Board of Inland Revenue.
Well, PNM manipulated the books for a long history. We have to do a lot of investigation.
Yeah, and that's why he was so eager to set up the TTRA, and also to appoint his own board that will do the bidding for him, you know, because the one thing in life we always remember, the data doesn't lie. The data does not lie. So when the Auditor General was trying to use or to audit the check clearance system, the automatic check clearance system at the central bank, they were scared of that because it has showed up all the discrepancies, where all the checks went. This is what they are scared of, to show where the expenditure was, you know, where it was incurred, and if it followed accounting procedures, and who was responsible, and who got these checks, you know, and at what amounts. Is it the same amounts that was on the contract or the leases? Then where are the names in the contract and leases when some of them are missing? Yet checks are made out for these persons. So what is it?
We can't play nice with these people at all, you know. I don't want to see that, number one. I mean, there has to be a thorough investigation. It'll take us a little time. We're going to get some of the information up front, but I definitely want to see a restructuring of the justice system, restructuring of the police force. I mean, you know, I have questions about the DPP, you know, because how many things he have let go. I mean, politics cannot dominate the police at all. That cannot happen. Totally unacceptable. And you see this thing what happened with Andrea Barrett, and they killed the witnesses, and and you can't proceed with the case. You know, we have too many instances where police are involved in covering up, destroying evidence. You know, there's too many things. That police force definitely have to get cleaned up.
Clean up a lot. That's why I told you that this Iwatsky, I hope it's not a Iwatsky situation, a short-term tenure from Mr. Guerrero. I hope if he came to the bowels, he will, or he should know all the problems or most of the problems in the police force, and what are the best course of action to resolve those issues. So let's see how it goes from there. But Gibbs and Iwatsky had a hard time, even though they were trying their best to bring structure and organization to the police service, and you can see the approach was to use the technology to help lessen down the crime, but you need to set up the structures first. If you don't have the structures,
we need to fix supervision, number one, all right? And the resources we have, we need to mobilize it and put it out there. We're getting 67 new cars. That's great and that's wonderful. But the proper management of the resources we have, for as I see, is a great issue. Where we need people out on patrol to apply every deterrent strategy as possible. We have to find a strategy where we work with each other from the counselors, the community, and the police must have some kind of collaboration taking place. It cannot continue this way because the greatest police force cannot fight this fight alone. We have to have collaboration from every aspect of the community, But the police has to lead, and the police has to maintain integrity. They have to maintain a high sense of integrity because the TTPS have totally destroyed the trust of the people.
Yes. And so now they have to rebuild and from start all over again. But you can start that all over again by, as a good starting point is the community policing, and start to build back trust and let members of the community supervise their own communities so they know what's going on. They know the social issues that are behind the scenes. They know the kids in poverty who can't reach the school or who don't go to school. So it's a collaborative effort incorporating a number of divisions and ministries like social services, education, the police, and so on. So by getting the communities involved through the various organizations within the community, like social clubs, youth clubs, police youth clubs, cricket clubs, football clubs, and so on, you can get a good feel after what's happening in the vicinity of your area, your village or your small towns, and because the community policing will be feeding that information to the various agencies. This looks like some of the flood waters on the main highway.
That's like
I don't know this area at all, but
that looks like going towards. That's like the southern main road. It looks like the southern main road. I don't think it's the highway. No, that looks like the southern main road here, going towards the airport. That's like St. Helena, like even the past Warren.
Oh, yes, because the mountain at the backdrop, so it has to be going north.
That's not the highway. So that's going towards. Right. Yeah, it looks like that area. I don't think it's the highway. Honestly, it kind of looks in one way, but anyway, that's the area there.
There's some serious waters there, my friend. Serious, and thank God they said whether it should be improving.
So, it is flooded really bad in St. Augustine. We are in Tukising Street Extension. This is what the situation is like. Residents, they are operating a makeshift ferry service now. We have been on all types of boats, tractors, vehicles. That's my cameraman over there. He is in a fridge. This is how it is being done here, just to get persons to and from their homes. Hello? Right, so we are going through Dukiseng Street Extension. This is the first time I'm in a vessel like this. It is a cut-out container. Yeah. Thank you. This is the captain. People trying to make do.
So look at this here, Mr. Singh.
Yeah.
An accident took place and they're still waiting 2 weeks after.
I've been Chiconas and is still waiting police to assist them. Yeah, so that is what creates the mistrust with the police service. Because
Listen to me. I am not interested in big talk, I've heard enough big talk, right? And I want this thing fixed. So we have to fix the management and supervision of the police force. They have to be very operational. They have to be ready to respond. They have to be, concerned about our citizens and not play the fool with us.
correct, I agree with you. And you need to build trust. That's the first thing. If they cannot do that and they decide to remain aloof, then nothing is going to happen and nothing is going to change in the police service. You have to build that element of trust. If you are waiting 2 weeks, I'm in an accident and have to wait 2 weeks and still no answer, what is that saying?
The app was one of the excellent thing in making a report. The police service needs to be computerized. There has to be digitized, and the response, the equipment, the patrol vehicles. I mean, they have to be out there. They can't be hanging out in the police station or by a friend house or whatever it is. They have to be on the job. We have to patrol. We have to apply all the deterrent strategies possible. We don't want reactive policing and protection. We need proactive action. Okay? And
Yeah.
I don't have no tolerance to seeing this. I mean, I know we're just taking the government. I want to see some real action taking place. I want to see proper deployment, and maintaining consistency with patrolling and a very effective response and reporting. All right?
True. And also the
And if they can't do the job, I can get people to do the job. We over here in contact with people who can do the job.
Of course, man. You have lots of people here who can help, and showing them what to do and how to do it, or get the relevant security information. One thing, Gary, that needs to be beefed up is the records system.
Well, the whole network infrastructure has to be built out, right? We need that information technological help there. The police has to be trained. All these things. The paper reporting is nonsense. It should be put electronically into a computer, and any station CID could pull it. Any department can pull the records.
With the appropriate.
Sending a person, you need to go Gasparilla Lower, you need to go St. Madeleine. No, for me time, this is what I want to see. When you make contact with a police officer, whether he's outside the station off duty, tag he is it. He have to take responsibility there.
Right, and that is why time stamping is important. You time stamp the day or the time or whatever you make your contact with the station or a policeman or what. Your clock starts from that point in time. So I don't make an accident, God forbid, in Freeport, and I'm driving down the road and they say, you have just crossed the boundary. You have to report it to Port of Spain. So now I have to waste time. I go to the report only told I have to go into
Absolutely
correspondence.
no consideration for nobody at all.
No,
Totally self and all this nonsense that I cut out. Within the next 5 years, I must see drastic improvement in how the police was managed, how it's upgraded.
and I don't know if they follow any systems at all, but they when you want to achieve an objective or you have a strategic plan and you want to achieve it, you have to know exactly what sort of resources you have and the quality of those resources. You no longer need like in the 1950s, you need brute strength to be a policeman. You must be over 6 feet or 5'10". These things are
Well, that,
outdated.
that that was a very discriminatory practice with Dr. Eric William. All right,
So,
and I
so
mean, and that's why we end up where we at here.
So what you
But
need is tactical, knowledgeable persons who are trained, has some idea what technology is and what the
and
technology can do.
promotion should go with qualification. Like this recent nomination here, the guy's highly qualified. Now the thing about it is he has all the academic skills, but let's see how that rolls out into operational
Performance,
skills and
performance skills.
yeah, and
Yes, correct.
deployment.
Yes, correct, quite correct. Yes, having the qualification is just the knowledge, but implementing it skills to give you the desired result. That is how they will measure your
I
success.
I want to see action when it comes to our politicians. Are working very hard. They're on the ground. I want to see action with the police force.
And most of the employees, most of the policemen have to upgrade their skills, Gary, because they are trained. If you notice the police in the barracks, police training barracks, you very rarely get, tutored in technological crime solution. It's
They
more
was
the
allowed to
training.
go. They was allowed to go astray. The police force was allowed to go astray. You know what I mean? No proper supervision and followed up with anybody.
Yeah.
Very poor management. And this is a very lackadaisical kind of thing that I see happening there, and we should not ever be in that place at all.
Yeah, I was saying about the keeping of records, and when records are not kept properly, what happens in that when a case is called?
Well, we saw what happened with John Ipo case, right?
Yeah. No things, the files are missing, but that's a common. Then next thing, the policemen are missing. They don't go to court that day, so the case gets thrown out, and that is a big problem as
We
well.
dealing with. I'm telling you, we really dealing not only with a financial cartel. We're dealing with a real cartel on the ground there, and
Yes,
several. Yeah.
it, you know, eh, and I wouldn't be surprised if the certain members of the judicial arm are involved in all of these things to get the case
Well,
postponed and
look what happened to the
postponed.
young lady. She saw something that didn't look right. She pointed out to her supervisor. Next thing, she's dead.
Yep.
What does that tell you? And the two witnesses, the two suspect dead too. Well, you shut them up. Somebody shut them up.
And this is what happens in our country, and I'm scared of this side of these implementation policies because imagine where in Trinidad can you keep data in a very secured manner. Everything he says, your personal data, your health data, your education data, anybody has access to these things. So where is my rights? I'm supposed to have freedom of, free country, my rights and so on, but where is my privacy rights, I should ask? Where does it stop? So when records, especially like police records, becomes a public issue, what happens? everybody knows everybody's business. Even the banking system is so weak. I don't know if you recall a time
Well,
when
a
different
few
bank
years ago,
tellers,
we had, beside
bank
the
tellers,
banking mismanagement, we had people inside the bank giving info of people, of customers, right? And they're getting
yes,
robbed on the street. So
correct.
we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do, Mr. Singh.
Yeah, that policy of, on the protection and accuracy of data and so on should, there's no secure place where these data is held. And I could tell you from my experiences back home, sometimes you go in an office where data should be secured and it's basically in the corridor. Anybody can look at it. It's in a building. So that's what I said. These things, we have to start making use of the technology, part of the digitization process. Now, there's a ministry in charge of that, the Ministry of Digitization and Digitalization. But for 10 years, if you can tell me what sort of records were digitized that had not been done prior, I'll be grateful if I can know that, because I understood from inside sources that very, very, very little was being done.
Their bank account got digitized. That's what took place. A lot of people bank account get
Very,
digitized.
you know, the efforts to digitize, like the birth and death certificates and so on. These things were simple. They were already in existence under the partnership government. So what has happened in the 10 years, say from 2015 to 2025? What more was done to make the system secure, better, the retrieval of the data more, you can get basically your data in a short space of time or have access to your data. These things were just left hanging. And one wonders if it's deliberate. If it's deliberate to get any and anybody information is in the public, public sphere. So one wonders exactly what this whole digitization and digitalization efforts were. And I wish they can say and report to the public what was done. What was done, and very, very little over 10 years. So if we're going at that rate, how are we going to modernize these various ministries, these various state agencies, these various services, the various, commissions and things like the service commissions, the police service commissions, the prisons? How can we start to do these things when we have such a broken system? And I keep on telling you, I probably say it at every one of my sessions. Every single system in Trinidad and Tobago is broken. It is broken. So it's like you're having to do a whole scale, redoing of all the systems, all the policies, getting new HR people who understands what they are doing, with a focus on more technology-oriented solutions, and storing this information in a secured environment. Whenever you want to retrieve it, it must be done so with certain rights, of course. And have everything structured. The structures, the policies, the legislation, all these things have to come together. And when these things are broken, how can we say this island runs efficiently? So there's a lot of work has to be done in restructuring all these state agencies and these commissions and these
Yeah,
ministries
because
and
you see the chaos benefits them. That's why it's like that.
yeah, and that's when I say sometimes I think it's deliberately done like that, so that certain people like to hog their own limelight. Everything is, oh, if a young kid or young 25-year-old come, he can replace me in 10 minutes. My job becomes redundant, and that young person can do the work of 4 or 5 persons. But these are the things they're scared of, and everybody likes to keep, their own, be in their own enclave, so to speak. But if we want efficiency, we have to embrace the technologies around. We are way behind the curve, and it should have been done so long ago that by now we should be at the forefront of having everything computerized at the tip of our fingertips. We should be able to get information about, at least about ourselves. How many years I've worked, did I pay all my national insurance dues, am I missing any time periods, and all these things. You only hear these things.
Speaking of national insurance, we have too many people who have paid national insurance and there's no record of it. Too
I
many
was
people.
I was
Too
one
many
of
people. You one
I
of
was
them?
I was one of them. I paid over 1,400 contributions, and when it looked, they could barely find about 720. And I had records to show that. Yet they couldn't
I
type
mean, just imagine there are people who work with the government and their national insurance was not documented.
Yes,
That's outside the contract, working for the government.
but I'm telling you, I'm one of them. I worked for the government all this time for years, and they could only barely find 720. I don't know, and if you multiply that by
So
30,
so so where your money gone? Think about it.
I,
Where your money gone?
well, not only where it's gone, is how come they cannot make up the minimum amount to make sure I can get back a little, potential at the end
Yeah,
of
but
the
what I'm
month.
saying to you, the money collected and gone where? Because they're documented. You don't understand what's going on there?
It was a big racket going on there, my friend. Big non-accountability of funds that they will use the national insurance board or the
We
national insurance
we paid
money.
we my father was paying unemployment levy and they were taking big money
Yes,
out of him for all of
yeah,
that, right?
that's
They
a
were,
scam by itself.
yeah.
Yeah,
Where that money went? Where I mean, look at the level of health service we get for paying health surcharge.
yeah. In the case of NIB, that was a government cash cow. They use that as a piggy bank. I'll tell you how. Well, whenever they want sponsorship for certain events and so on, oh, this is the National Insurance Board funds were used for that. And it's anything of any promoting, the government wants to promote certain things, they use that money to promote it. And that is where the money used to go. They send their friends and family in different trips and so on. You use the money from the NIB to send them on, you know, uh, various tours around the world or scholarships, as the case may be, and so on. That's where it went to. I know. That's where it went to. So they couldn't account for it. It was used for political purposes, but in short. So this is why they cannot tie back these figures. That is why they cannot account for it in any meaningful way. So that's why I say if these things are computerized and use the technology, it's going to show up. The data is going to
When
tell
we
you.
get done with the last 10 years, we have to do the last 60
Well,
because people pay national insurance, the money cannot be traced, right? And
yep,
they can't get no credit for it. steal the blasted money. That's all.
That's what I'm saying. It's used as a political piggy bank.
And this nonsense had to stop. We had to put an end to that.
Political piggy bank, man. So because of that now, because a lot of people couldn't get their national insurance and their pensions and so on, you find a backlog of applications, and that's what the Minister of Social, Miss what Vandana Mohit was saying on the last presentation, on the post-cabinet presentation, that we are almost 5,000 people backlog to pay and approve for the old age pensions. And
that was done deliberately by him, but that was done deliberately by him.
Because they didn't have the cash flow to start paying this bill, so they held it back. And
that they didn't have it. They took the cash flow for themselves and their friends. That's why they couldn't pay the people. They used it otherwise.
And you know that your old age pension is tied into your national insurance, because if you already get NIS, you will only get the difference. So if you get no NIS, you get the full amount as stipulated in the grant. So these are the things, they were all tied up. And because by being tied up and very little funds in the NIB at that time, everything, was just held back. And in my opinion, deliberately so. Because if the current minister can come and clear this thing and within 2 or 3 weekends, she had cleared it down to just about 100 or 220 people that has remained unsolved. But what about the better part of 4,800 people already being sorted out? So it tells me what was going on in the NMB. They were using this as their cash piggy bank. The government, that is. And because of that, when they run out of funds, they cannot approve no more NIS or old age pension because they're all tied in to it. But that's a whole new ball game by itself, playing out. Anyway, I think NAB may fall under, I don't know which ministry, but most likely under the Ministry of Finance. And I hope that is part of the investigation, that they are doing or planning to do. It's just a total abuse of public funds. When you cannot get the things when you already contribute for those things over your working timeline. So with that, anything else, Gary, you want to touch on? I think.
No, we're gonna have to wrap up because I'm in the middle of a few things here. So let's see what happens. We have to call them out on things.
Yeah. By right, we should call it out as we see fit. We're doing it for the benefit of the people, and the masses of people who have been denied.
Yeah, listen. I know. We know our team there has the best intentions. They have more than they supposed to be dealing with, and it will take some time. But we want that structure built into place.
Yes.
Where we put things in perspective.
Yes.
And we have that special majority now, so we have to run with it.
Yes, and
we have to. We don't need that's how far as bully we in the parliament. That's like how far as bully we in the parliament, and that other regional guy there that was there, Amor. We have two foreigners who live in Trinidad oppressing our people. Was Amor and Input. Wicked son of a bitches. No heart for our people. You remember the incident where they went and find Input's on phone in minutes, but they can't find we people missing. you know.
They found his phone, but they found him in a job in PRCO at Cal.
Like I said, I want to see some people go to jail. We need to build some jail too.
You remember that? There was no job spec. That job was never advertised. There had no job specification of what his portfolio is. All of a sudden, in birth, son who is an OJT earning $50,000.
Caribbean Airlines, right?
Yeah, Caribbean Airlines. And now you see the general manager of Carl, he don't want to resign. So they know what they did.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
all know what they did.
The short man he's the godfather.
And OJT with no job specification, earning 50 grand, man, come on. So they really have a lot to hide. I hope.
So keep your eye out for what's taking place tomorrow,
Oh, definitely. I will.
and we will discuss it either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Sounds good. Yeah. So most likely we'll be on the air either on Tuesday or Wednesday. So
Yeah.
let me know if things change.
Yeah. Well, let's give the Parliament a chance to lay out their things and we can analyze the situation.
I know I'm glad because I want to start to look at it from tomorrow at least, follow closely the media review and what transpired over the past 6 months with the media aspect of it, and try to understand where the money was spent and why there's no money now to spend on anything. So I look forward with great eagerness to find that out this week. And we'll keep in touch, Gary. With that, I would like to wrap up on my end and say good night to all. And Gary, you can.
All right. Good night, everybody. I got a lot of noise where I'm at right now, so I will say good night and thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Take care. Bye now.